You are watching America Trends. I'm Mary Burke Godwin. I am really excited to be joined via Zoom by our next guest, Trew. He is a friend of mine who has been on the show before. He is an improv comedy coach in New Orleans. He just lived through Hurricane Ida. He is here to talk about the amazing work that he did before, during, and after. Is still doing amazing work, helping the citizens of New Orleans stay connected, stay supported. He's helping people in so many ways than probably he even knows, and I'm just so excited to welcome Chris. Chris, thank you for zooming in.
Hey, y'all. I'm so happy to be here. Hi, Mary. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me back.
I'm teary a little bit right now, Chris. We connected over the last few years on social media, and I just love your energy. It's why I had you on the show a couple of weeks or months ago. And then, I'll tell the folks at home that I was sitting during Ida, right before, I guess it was the night that Ida was hitting New Orleans, and your story came across my Instagram feed, and you were documenting everything that was going on in such a real way. And I was like, wait, he's not leaving. He's not evacuating. What's going on? And so I was glued to you. And then the next few days, I saw how much you helped people. So I want to hear from you, before, during, and after, like what it was like before Ida hit and why you decided to stay to start that off.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the first thing I want to say is that I'm very grateful to be on the show again. I'm happy that you all are giving this event some more airtime, because people should still be talking about not just not just New Orleans, but also Louisiana. It wasn't just down here where I live that was affected. Places below New Orleans on the bayou were really affected. So it's great to still be able to talk about this. So thank you for that. To answer your question, the primary reason why I didn't leave is because, in my past experiences with hurricanes, most notably Katrina, leaving for me feels worse. Now, that's also a kind of privileged-ish thing to say, because not everyone has a choice whether or not they want to leave. I chose to stay because I knew I could help. I knew I had access to a car. I don't have kids. I'm not a homeowner. I'm just a much more mobile, flexible person, So I was like, if I stay here, I'll be able to pull some stuff off. So that's what I did.
Well, it was pretty amazing. And I want to rewind a little bit to that, because you are a native of New Orleans, correct?
Yes.
And so you said you've been through this a few times, and you were there during Katrina too. So I want to rewind a little bit, because I'm sure there's somewhat of a PTSD feeling, right, from the locals in the community to having lived through that. And that's not something that you just live through and then it goes away. It's something that stays with you for a really long time, because it's grief and trauma, right?
Of course, yeah. And this happened on an anniversary, the 16th anniversary of Katrina. Wow. Which you probably, that's been discussed ad nauseum at this point, but there's a lot going on with it, a lot of uncertainty, but it also brings people together in a very sweet and kind and inspiring way. It's, we all choose to live down here. We all have our reasons for living down here. And when we are able to come together in the way that we did after Ida, it's a really massive reminder of why I love being a New Orleanian so much, why I choose to live in Louisiana every day.
Well, certainly that has always come through really your feed, but particularly during this time, and seeing the way you spoke about your community and about the city, and you were just like, how can I help? First, you wanted to make sure you made it through and your house made it through, and you had some leaks come in, right? And you were putting the buckets everywhere and towels. I could tell your whole story, but first of all, I want to hear from you, what were the things that you did to prepare leading up to it, knowing that it was coming? Because you did have, how much lead time did you know that the storm was coming or the hurricane was coming?
Well, typically when these things happen, you see it on social media, you tune into the Weather Channel, mom and dad call you and they're like, heads up, you know about this, right? And it's like, yeah, I know about it, but you never really know. It's 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 very difficult to describe the feelings that happen as it leads up to, because when you first hear it, it's like there's a storm coming and everyone's like, cool, storms come all the time. This one, hopefully it's not a big one. And then the next beat is like, wait, this one might be a big one, but then it's like, but probably not.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it's like, okay, sorry, this is a big one. And then everyone's like, okay, we're waiting for local government to say whether we have to leave. We're waiting to see from different businesses, like who's boarding up windows. And so there's all these feelings that go into the hours, or if you're lucky, days before it comes. And for this one, we knew it was going to be a bad storm, but we didn't really know, was it going to be monumental, right? Our house is going to get knocked down, or are we just going to get a ton of rain? And so what I did to prepare, what everyone does typically, if you know what you're doing, you fill your bathtub up with water so that you can flush your toilets afterwards.
I didn't know that.
There you go.
Being in San Diego, I don't know that one.
Yeah, but you know all about where to get the best fish tacos. So
100%. I do know that 100%. Yes.
It's Oscars, right? It's so you fill your bathtub up with water. You fill all these water bottles up, these jugs. You go and get a bunch of non-perishable food items. You get cash. For those the people who didn't get cash. You learned really quickly that the places that did open right after the storm, they weren't taking credit cards, y'all. So I hope you had cash.
That was something I saw in your story, Chris. You waited in line for a really long time to get gas or something, right? And then you got there and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have cash. And somebody had to loan you money. Is that right?
Yeah. And I knew that, by the way, Mary. Like, I felt like a dummy. I knew that. And I had a ton of cash. And I went and got it. I took care of that. Yeah. And I'm in line at this gas station for 3.5, 4 hours. And I get to the front and the guy's like, yeah, you dummy, it's cash only. Like, how do you not know that? And I'm like, man, I've been doing nothing but living this hurricane life, talking about it, showing it to so many people through my Instagram. And here I am with no cash.
The most basic thing you realize you didn't. Well, that's what happens to the best of us. Sometimes we forget the little things. But so going back to did you have batteries and things like that on hand too? Because you lost power, right?
Oh, I lost power for 9 days. Wow. I just got it back. It feels like I got it back yesterday, but I got it back, Wednesday night, whatever that was.
Yeah, I wanted to have you on last week, but you didn't have power.
Yeah.
So when you were doing your Instagram stories, were you charging your phone in your car, or how were you doing that?
Yeah, so I had access to a car, and I was able to go down, turn the car on and plug my phone up. It sounds silly and I'm laughing at it now, but like, keeping my phone charged was one of my biggest stressors during all that time.
I bet.
Because I felt very compelled to continue sharing stuff because, I didn't know this was going to happen. I mean, I would have been into sharing the experience and using the platform I have to help as many people as possible anyway. But then I didn't realize this until the next day. But Instagram had highlighted my feed as like something to watch as part of Ida Aftermath. So when that happened, I was like, oh my God, like this is not just a thing to take my mind off of stuff and to give me something to do. It became like, oh, this is a much larger platform than I thought that I would have had. And so then it took on a whole new life for me. So it was like, I have to keep my phone charged because now I have strangers texting me and saying, or DMing me and being like, can you go check on my house? My friend has a dog 3 towns over and her power is out and she's out of town. Can you bring the dog to this pet sitting? I mean, all these things started flying in. So I was like, I need to keep my phone charged, not just to keep myself entertained, but to actually quite literally help save people and
well, that's
dogs.
What I found so inspiring about what you were doing, because I saw that trajectory. I saw it kind of unfold as it was happening for you, being a viewer. And then I saw what you were saying. You started to ask people, give me your address. I'll go check on your pets. I mean, I don't know if that person asked you about the pets before or after you asked that question, but your willingness to help people, then it became more than you just saying, hey, what's up? Here's my bucket of rain. how can I help the community? And then you brought people together in the most beautiful of ways, Chris. And I have so many more questions. We're going to take a break in a second, but I think we have some of those videos that we've been showing. I want to see if we can roll a few more of those. You were just documenting it, and then you'd be like, oh, bring me your laundry, and I'll go to my mom's house and I'll wash your laundry for you. You were just so giving in this time. It was just really something like, this is what social media is all about. This is the way to connect people. Yeah, see your offers here to go help people. It's just amazing. And everybody at home, stick around. We've got more with Chris Trew after this break. You're watching America Trends. I'm Mary Burke Godwin, and I have my friend Chris Trew zooming in from New Orleans, improv, comedy coach, amazing human being who just experienced Hurricane Ida. And Chris, you said before the break, 9 days you went without power. I don't want to gloss over that, because here in San Diego a few years ago, I was just talking with David, our floor director. It was like we lost power for 2 or 3 days a few years ago. And that was a lot. So 9 days, that is pretty intense. And as we were saying before the break, what you did helping community, because not only you were helping people like me that wanted to stay connected and get the real story of what was going on and not maybe what was news feeding to us. And then also you helped other people, check on their pets. You also were an avenue for people to help contribute to those people that needed help. You were putting people together in ways. I know you were barking at one of the corners saying, we got hot dogs or hamburgers at this local joint, come in for free and get your burgers. It was just such a cool thing. So I want to hear more about that experience with you, what it was like to have fellow community members come together to help each other.
Yeah, well, I was blown away by how many people were down to help. It wasn't just me. Everywhere you look, there were people who were doing all that they could, figuring out what was their role in the aftermath of something like this. So it was just such a sweet thing to witness and be a part of. There were people who were, here's one little story. There was this lady from Dallas who, I don't know any of these people, by the way. A lady from Dallas found me from the Instagram Discover feed and said, hey, I don't know how to help, but I want to help. If I can get someone she wanted to drive down a bunch of gas, which is really hard to get, and diapers, batteries, things that people weren't thinking about donating, as well as, water and non-perishables and all this stuff. She was going to bring it down. Then she couldn't figure out a way to get down here. So then she put out a call, can someone bring this stuff down for me? Basically, it was like a stranger finding a stranger to pull up to where I live with a truck full of goods, unload it in front of my house. Then when that happened, I was like, well, if my house is going to be like a donation center, I might as well do an all call to see who else wants to bring stuff to my place. I live in a very busy street, by the way, so it was easy to get to my spot. And so suddenly people started dropping off things at my house. And then my house became this makeshift donation center for a little bit, and just stuff like that. But there are stories like that all over the city, especially for a lot of businesses. A lot of bars and restaurants are saying things like, we're bringing a truckload of goods down to Homa or Terrebonne Parish, every day at noon. So come and drop off whatever you want, and then we will truck it down there.
I mean, it's such a life-affirming story, really, in the middle of this, very scary, devastating situation, to then have hope and have help from strangers, like you were saying, stranger, to just help one another. And that's the part of this that I just love so much. And I know that you also, did you already do your comedy night fundraiser, or you have one coming up, right? You're utilizing your talents to help as well.
Yeah, we did a fundraiser at Comedy House New Orleans, which is a brand new comedy club that tried to open last year, but then couldn't because of COVID. It's been open for a few months and then had to get shut down temporarily because of Ida. But they opened last weekend and we did a benefit show, so shout out to all the comics who donated their time and skills, and the venue for donating all the ticket sales of that to Ida relief. And there's all kinds of stuff like that going on right now. So it's just very sweet again to see all the people caring and just loving on each other and being sweet and helping out wherever we can.
And how long do you think that it takes the community? I mean, you didn't have the big levee break that happened during Katrina, which created all the damage, right, that we saw back with Katrina, right? I mean, there's not as much severity of damage that was done, correct?
Well, so let me see if I can untangle this for you. It's like, it is true that the levees did not break. So that's really good. If the levees had broken like they did in 2005, this would be a different interview, I mean, I would be the same person, but like, I don't know if I would have internet access,
right,
in the space where I rent an office here in New Orleans.
Yeah.
But the devastation was actually more than Katrina in terms of like there's more telephone poles knocked down.
Wow.
During Ida. There is, the Ida, I think technically the winds were stronger during Hurricane Ida. The problem though, in 2005 was the levees broke. The levees held up. The levees did their job. But now, but there's still devastation, especially south of New Orleans, which is why one of the big mantras that we have down here right now is people should still be talking about Louisiana, not just New Orleans. And that's actually a thing that people down here have to contend with, is like, life is, air quotes, back to normal in New Orleans right now, kind of, but you drive an hour south and it's devastation everywhere.
Wow.
So it's like, we have to keep, that's right outside my house right there.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. Oh, I mean, Chris, I was worried about you. I was really like tuning in going, before all the helping and the positive stuff, I was like, okay, I need to make sure Chris is safe and he is okay, which I know you were doing that partly, right, to keep yourself positive and also to keep people that cared about you and, they knew you were okay. But so speaking of that devastation, how long do you think it takes to rebound from something like this for the community, for the south of New Orleans?
It's going to take a long time, and longer if people aren't donating time and money to helping recovery. It's every time one of these storms happen, it's like, this is frustrating, but I also logically I understand it, but we still need to work on this. But it's like, if it's not happening in a big city that you recognize the damage, it's easy to kind of forget about it. I think of how many small towns in the Midwest are hit by tornadoes that we don't think about anymore, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, so it honestly will probably take years in some ways. But the question now is, how many of these people are going to even return to build their homes? I think a lot will, because Louisiana is just like, if you're a Louisiana person, you are like Louisiana.
You're coming back. Yeah,
you're
like
coming
I can
back.
tell that with you. Now, tell me, before we have to go, which I'm so sad about because I feel like I could talk to you all day, but tell me where, I think you have links on your Instagram, right, of where people can help. And so tell us where we can find out your Instagram.
So I would go to bayoufund.org. Okay. That's going to link directly to a GoFundMe. That is the largest efforts, the largest is all the big influencers.
Bayoufund.org.
Yes, bayoufund.org.
Okay, and Chris Trew, Hell Yes Creative, we can find you there. Thank you so much, Chris, and everyone at home. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're here Monday through Friday at 10 p.m. on America Trends. Sorry, we ran out of time there.
Hey, it's okay.
Hey.